Hello everyone and welcome back to OverPlay, the only show on the internet that combines the bizarre, the absurd, and the obscene portions of a Let's Play with the dark, unfolding cynicism of an overview. And while there's probably a good reason for that, we don't have time to talk about it today because we have to discuss Man of Medan, or more specifically, the Dark Pictures anthology, Man of Medan. And it's okay. I mean, it's just... It's a game in its adventuring style. Now, what do I mean by that? It's rather difficult to say. Let's just go ahead and jump into this one. This is brought to us by the same people who brought us Until Dawn, and it plays in a very similar manner with a few different quirks to it. Not too many in the actual gameplay, but more in the presentation. As stated, this is meant to be an anthology series of games, or at least it's intended to be, and this is merely the first installment. As a result, they've intended this to actually be played with multiple people. And to that end, this is quite a fun game. It's similar in the vein to having a kind of schlocky B horror movie that you can sit around with your friends and watch and just kind of make fun of as you go. The acting's kind of subpar. The story's rather laughable when you actually get to the story, and there's long cutscenes that nearly rival a Metal Gear game. But that's also part of the issue, but we'll get more into that when we get to the gameplay portion. For now, let's go ahead and discuss the story. You play as one of any number of rich socialite idiots, or some lack thereof, and you are on this journey to investigate this ship in the middle of nowhere after discovering coordinates to it in an underwater crashed plane until you get hijacked by pirates, and you kind of go from there. Now, what the main crux of the story is, and why I actually kind of appreciate this game, I won't spoil because it's actually a lot of fun, and it definitely beefs up the replay value for actually wanting to understand what's going on. More things become more apparently in the more times you play it in varied ways. This is helped by having different takes happen in different portions of the game. Characters will often say different dialogue, or different responses might come up. And as previously said, as a party game, having multiple people be able to take the role of different people throughout the story really helps challenge the idea that no one person is going to be able to hold just every single bit of conversation to it. Unless you play alone like I am, because I have no friends, and I just made myself sad. But there's no time to talk about that. So let's go ahead and talk about the visuals. They're decent enough. I mean, I was just handing you something. You might have been able to use that, jerk. As said, the visuals are pretty darn good.
The whole place is a floating death trap.
Everything looks nice and darkly decayed and all that good stuff. Until you get to the people, and they kind of look like plastic figurines that have just kind of been animated. Kind of like a bizarre Toy Story, almost. Everybody just appears a little too waxy. I'm pretty sure she was getting your handcuff that you put on her. I could be wrong there. The movement is entirely based in a fixed camera position, similar to how the older Resident Evil games were, which can make movement awkward sometimes, but usually the controls are fairly forgiving as to how quickly you have to switch directions for doing stuff. That being said, let's go ahead and just jump into the controls. I hope you're ready for a nice slow game, because this is about it right here. Right up until you get to the QuickTime events, which require you to make split-second decisions and daring do's to try and, like, avoid rats, maybe. I don't know. There's tons of stuff. You can move slightly faster by holding one button. the interactions are actually pretty darn fluid. Visually, it looks a little weird when you pick something up and your hand just kind of hovers over it for a little while, but nothing too bad, especially nothing people who are familiar with the Until Dawn series can put up with, or lack thereof. And I just walked over glass with my bare feet. I know that Bruce Willis did that, but no need to really prove you're that tough, man. Anyway, as I was saying, the controls are good enough. A bit slow-paced, which kind of makes the cutscenes all that more jarring. Making decisions requires you to use the right-hand side of your controller, versus movement is entirely based towards the left-hand side. And it's easy enough to get a grip on that, and, well, that was nice of him. No, for bloodthirsty pirates that really just are probably going to kill us after all this is done. Okay enough guys, apparently. Well, I'm glad the oil in there didn't give out after World War II. Anyway, as I said, this game is okay as a single-player experience. It can be done, but it really comes off better, as I said, with multiple people. Akin to sitting down and enjoying a Mystery Science Theater movie and just laughing it out with people.
We can't just sit around. We need a plan.
It just kind of falls flat when you play it single player. Not necessarily because it's poorly written, which it almost feels like it's intended to be, but more just because once you realize that aspect is meant to be there for multiple people, it really, really does not feel as fun going back to a single-player experience. And that's just kind of lame and boring.
Okay, what exactly is a distributor cap?
But
Pretend you're talking to someone
that being
who doesn't know
said,
anything about boats.
all of that is entirely subjective. I know this is usually where I sign off and ask you to make your own decisions, but I don't think I really have to at this point. The idea that most of what I put forward is purely subjective based on any medium. And unfortunately, that's not always going to appeal to a lot of people. And who knows, maybe some people out there think that this is a really decent and high-concept game. That it can be perfectly fun to enjoy on your own, and it's wonderful twists and turns. But I get the feeling for a lot of people, that really is not going to happen. And it's just going to kind of fall flat. Especially with the fact that it's only doable with multiple people as a couch co-op game. Again, not a bad thing. It gets you to converse with people, have fun in the presence of others, and that is always a good thing. It's always better to be social and interact with more people, but not everybody can do that a lot. And as a result, a game that will take you the better part of 8 hours or so suddenly becomes something that you have to plan nearly a month in advance to play. It becomes a little less fun. And that's really all I have for this. It's fun enough for what it is, but what it is seems more than a little confused, and that can get a little problematic sometimes. But, as I said, these are entirely just my opinions and my own bizarre ramblings about this. What about you guys? Did any of you play it? If so, what did you think? Leave a comment down below and let us know what you thought. We'll see you back here next time, everybody. Laters.
I wonder why this was ripped off.